My Blood, the Ink. Episode 2. The Tenderness of Drowning.
The spider's final words to me had played on a loop in my mind almost every moment of my every day. So much so that it was getting hard to sleep. When it happened, I had wanted to tell my grandmother immediately, and it hurt me beyond belief that I couldn't. I knew Nico would never believe me, so the story sat in me, festering away at my spirit. In the week since I had met the spider, keeping his words in mind, I took stock of my life and the shroud that currently hung over it. I soon realized that nothing about it, neither now nor in the near future, would ever become a story worth telling. It wasn't until I was running an errand for my father that I finally knew what I would do about it.
Oh, I know it's not who I think it is.
Your favorite person has definitely arrived. And of course, I come bearing gifts for the greatest to ever do it.
Ooh! And they're peonies. Dante, you are too much.
Only the best for the best.
My husband is going to start looking for you one day.
You know my address. Send him. I'll give him some pointers.
You better stop playing. I could be your mother.
Now, what do they say about age again? It ain't nothing but a number, right?
Oh, you are going to get me in trouble. What brings you down here to the shipyard? Your father send you?
He did indeed. He wants me to pick up last month's dock receipts.
I have them right here. Let me look them over one last time before I hand them over. You have an extra 5 minutes?
To spend in your presence? Why, I have an eternity.
You are going to be a whole problem when you grow up and get some hair on your chest.
Promise me you'll wait for me?
I will do no such thing.
Is that the newest ship?
Yes, one of them. Seakeeping test starts tomorrow night. Trip should last about a month, but I forget where it's headed. Now hush a second so I can finish looking these over.
The seakeeping test. That would be it. I hadn't a clue where our final destination would be, and there would be no passengers to hide amongst. The voyage would be all crew, and they'd be hyper aware of everything going on with the ship, as that was the whole point of our journey. And yet, if we did land somewhere new, and if I could manage to sneak out undetected, then no one anywhere would have any clue of where I was. I'd truly be able to start over fresh and find the story just like the spider had asked me to. And what better way to get an adventure started than by hiding on a ship full of people towards some unknown destination on an untested vehicle out on the open seas? So at the end of that week, mere months before graduation, I left my old life behind and ran. While it hurt to leave Nico without any word, I knew that he couldn't join me. I had already felt that so much of his life was just going along with my schemes and getting caught up in my adventures. While I was sure he would be upset for a little while, I was also sure that in time he would realize I had given him the chance to step out of my shadow and be the protagonist of his own story. So in the dead of night, I snuck down to the shipyard before anyone arrived, purloined enough food from the galley to make it so I wouldn't have to risk being seen replenishing stores later, and hid out below deck. A few nights into the voyage, I wake up to howling winds and pealing claps of thunder. Before my eyes can adjust to the darkness, the cabin swings so hard to the right of me that I spill from my bed and crash onto the ground. As I lie there, trying to orient myself, reaching out for anything stable to hold on to, I begin to make out shouts as the crew above tries to guide us through the storm. Again and again, the ship lurches from one direction to the next, at times almost flipping over into the air and turning us upside down. There's a loud clap that rings with a high pitch that races through the metal of the ship to launch itself up and into the marrow of my bones. Lightning has struck. I hear the metal groan as the waves jump into newfound cracks and crevices and pry the ship apart from the inside out. The ocean waves froth and crash throughout the ship, and their movement sounds like laughter. In my panic, it's almost as if I can hear them mocking me.
No one can hear you. We have consumed them already. They drown within us. We delight in your destruction. We are hungry, and you will feed us. You have cried in terror and set our hearts ablaze. Just as we have filled this ship, we will fill you and take root in your lungs, building a home there until your flesh melts away and the fish find home in the caverns of your bones.
Help! Help! There's someone down here! The waves scream at me as they rush through the ship, blasting down doors, aiming at the thin layers of metal that build a wall between me and them. They've begun to creep in from the sides now, penetrating the floors, sneaking in to form a shallow pool on the ground. I am in the middle of the ocean. No one knows I am on this ship. No one will come looking for me. I will die tonight. I sit with my back against the wall and face the door. The water that is creeping in has soaked through my pants and will soon be up to my waist. Will it be the rushing wave that races towards me on the other side of the door that will take me? Will it slam the door into me or hit me hard enough to break my bones and dash my skull against the metal and in an instant snatch me from the land of the living? Or will it be the seemingly gentle waters that simply continue to rise, caressing my skin, finding ports of entry via the orifices of my body, reaching its arms into me to hug me from the inside out and slowly choke the life from me? There's something cruel about the tenderness of drowning that makes me realize I would prefer the wave. I don't want to simply sit here and accept my fate. I want to fight. I want to throw myself at the tides and wrestle against them. I move into a crouch, muscles coiled, no plan in mind, yet focused, ready to respond and adapt to the crisis before me. I will fight the ocean itself. Today will not be the day that I die, and that will be a story worth telling. Awake again, submerged in the sea. Blood flows up through the water from a gash on my head in a steady, billowing cloud, and it's almost all I can see in the darkness. I am dizzy and confused. More than a few times I stop myself from sucking in seawater, thinking it air. My eyes sting as my thoughts begin to swirl. Swim yourself up and cling to the wreckage. Find other survivors. Find food. Hold on long enough for another vessel to come and save you. Maybe you're closer to land than you think. Maybe if you swim just a little, you can make it to shore. Swim, float, move. Try. And then there's another voice. Perhaps you just don't. Perhaps you just drift. Can you really fight against nature herself? Don't you remember how you got here? The storms, the unrelenting waves, the perpetually dark skies. Isn't this better? Isn't this gentler? Isn't this more peaceful? Isn't this the truth of why you ran away? What are you in such a hurry to get back to? For a moment, I expect to wrestle with my decision to fall prey to the quandary of whether or not I shake off my mortal coil to allow the secret shame I had been running from concerning my grandmother and the emotions that chased me out into the sea to weigh me down and drag me into the deep. But before my internal debate can even begin, I notice that my arms are moving and my legs are kicking, and I know that my body has no desire to wait for my mind to catch up to the fact that I will fight. With every stroke, my body reminds me that I vowed to see the world, to encounter magic. I am not running away, I am running towards a life worth living, and though I still can't see light, I move in the direction that feels up. And I recall that the real reason I ventured into the unknown of the sea was in search of better, of more, of lands undiscovered, of dreams to fulfill, of magic. In that moment, I decide that the only current I would ever fall prey to would be the one made of my resolve. This ocean would not claim me. And yet, for all my fancy talk, it feels like there is a tornado made of knives dancing around my chest. I don't know how long I've been without air, and as I look up frantically, I still see no light, no promise that I am any closer to the surface. My arms and legs are burning. Just as my body moved without me to begin its ascent, so too does it surrender without my permission. Though my mind screams for it not to, finally on board with the agenda, my mouth opens and I inhale the sea, begrudgingly welcoming it into the home of my flesh. I have lost this fight, and as panic gives way to acceptance, what little light I see begins to dim. The dull thud of my heartbeat slows in my ears, and just like that, alone, in some unknown depth of the Atlantic, I die. There is white light. It's so strong and all-encompassing that I sigh with relief, as historically, bad people don't see white light when they die. I take this to mean that despite everything happening with my family, despite stealing away on that ship along with a whole host of other small and not-so-small sins accumulated in my 17 years of life, the divine had ultimately not found me wanting and had allowed me into wherever this light was. Except, from the corner of my eye, I realize that the light does have a source, and it's one that seems strangely close to me. I look around, confused, until I realize that it's coming from the ring on my hand, the ring my grandmother had given me. the ring that had been passed down through my family for generations. As I continued to return to my senses, I realized that I am still underwater, but now I am suspended. The light from my ring expanding and wrapping around me before sinking beneath my skin. The light grows stronger, and I flinch as it starts to grow hot. Soon, light and heat encase my body until I feel that I am on fire. I am a star. I am the sun. I feel a light in me so strong that I know I have lit up the entire ocean. I have taught the creatures that live exclusively in the dark of the sea what day is. Bubbles burn my nose as I finally exhale. My lungs feel like they have been ripped from me, dipped into lava, and pressed back into my chest. My neck feels like someone has dug their fingers in deep and pulled, slowly pulled, until they opened up wounds on me. Identical wounds, 3 deep gashes on either side of my neck. A pressure mounts in my eyes until I feel them burst with a pop, slowly coming back together and rebuilding themselves with subtle aquatic-inspired differences. Nerves turning right instead of left. Irises finding new shapes. Corneas redefining their relationship to light. The pain stops as quickly as it begins. And the sea that had seconds before seemed pitch black is now cerulean and teeming with life. And I can breathe. I reach my hands up to my neck and find not wounds, but gills, undulating softly as I inhale and exhale. Underwater. With my gills, I laugh once more, the sound carrying farther than I had anticipated. Today, I fought to live. I fought the ocean itself. And somehow, miraculously, I think I may have won. I just barely finished my display of sportsmanship to the divine powers that be before the ring starts to shine once more, pulling me, first slowly, and then with breakneck speed, down, down, deeper into the depths of the ocean. I am moving so fast, it feels like I am flying, dancing through water like Icarus did the sky, streaks of color that upon closer inspection would have revealed themselves as fish, coral, whales, scraps of metal, and ancient beings that had existed long before humans had even been dreamt of. Down, down, deeper and deeper we fly, my ring and I, the pressure of the ocean increasing with each mile, squeezing me, pressing me relentlessly, until I once again lose consciousness. My Blood the Ink is a production of Akeem's Alchemy. Episode 2, The Tenderness of Drowning, was written and directed by Jay Cottle. The episode features original compositions by Miguel Landestoy, sound design by Anna Drummond, studio engineering by Tom Nicoper and Carlos Curry, and editing by Lucy Little. This episode featured Jay Cottle as Dante, Kira Sarai Helper as Stacy, and Jasmine Garcia, Jay Connolly, Digi K, Morgan Beckford, and Maya Baca as the Sea. My Blood the Ink is executive produced by Jay Cottle and Jasmine Garcia. Special thanks to Jordan Leslie. For more information on My Blood the Ink and Akeem's Alchemy, visit us on Instagram at Akeem's Alchemy or our website at akeemsalchemy.com. Remember, no matter how dark it gets, yours is a life worth living and a story worth telling. Until next time.